Good day everyone, I'm Anna Marie Embelelong. Today I will be discussing about the Chapter 2, the Authentic Assessment and Assessment of Process and Product, Characteristic of Authentic Assessment and Distinction between Authentic Assessment and Traditional Assessment. Assessment of learner performance. So that is as closely related to our real life situations as possible and is not artificial or contrived. So one way to make an assessment more authentic is to have learners choose the particular task they will use to demonstrate what they have learned. Authentic assessment also, it involves the collections of information from a rich range of sources. So including importantly the individual. So portfolios, checklists, work samples, diaries, permanent products, pencil and paper tests, observations and other forms of assessment may shed light on what the learner knows or is able to demonstrate and the directions required in one's learning program. So for example, after a course on a good citizenship, the instructor can ask the students to talk about what they will do if an older adult boards a bus when all the seats are taken, or how they will resolve a conflict. So using authentic assessment methods, uh, the teacher can realistically evaluate a student's ability based on how they apply what they have learned to the assignment. So these methods, of course, evaluation empowers the instructor to embrace innovation and objective judgment. So I have here the 10 authentic assessment examples. So first I have studio portfolios, second role play, third memo, fourth presentations, fifth the fish bowls, number 6 is the stimulation games, number 7 is the proposals, number 8 is the case studies, number 9 is the policy briefing, and the last one is number 10 is the reports. So first I will discuss a studio portfolio. So this is a meaningful collections of students' performance and an in-depth evaluation of how they have put their knowledge to work. So studio portfolio shows a clear patterns of a students' growth, and this help the teacher to quantify the students' progress and performance. So as a students create their portfolios, they reflect on their goals and engage in some degree of self assessment. So next is the role play. So this is a type of experiential learning where the students takes on a specific role or a character in a well-defined learning context. So unlike simulation games, role play places students in distinct roles. The students may be asked to imitate characters in unfamiliar contexts. So the third one is the memo. So a memo relays information about a defined subject matter using the first person point of view. So students collate data and then use their imagination to web text from different perspectives. Sometimes they can write like a real or imagine historical individual for a real or imagined audience. So the fourth is the presentations. So presentations are the most common method of authentic assessments. So students get to discuss their work and validate their ideas in the presence of a mixed audience. So it made of their classmates and teachers and external stakeholders like parents and technocrats. So presentation, it builds up students' confidence and communication skills. Also, they prompt the students to take extra care and invest more time and thought uh, before bringing their ideas forwards. So since the students get to use different tools like slides and sticky notes for the presentation, they also develop some level of proficiency with these tools. So you need to guide the students as they prepare for their presentations. You can ask them to prepare and turn in their slides early for review. You may also organize a rehearsal to help them get comfortable with speaking to an audience. So the next is the fifth is the fish bowls. So a fish bowl is a special type of group discussion. So it involving the hot seats. So the teacher selects a small group of students who sit on these hot seats and respond to questions, ideas, and suggestions from the rest of the class on a specific topic or a subject matter. So think of a fishbowl as a panel session with students acting as both uh, panelists and members of the audience. So the member of the audience sit in a circular arrangement. So around the panelists to map out the perimeter of the fishbowl. Fishbowls are not impromptu. So the students are given the topic of discussions ahead of time. So, and this allows them to prepare adequately apart from testing and the students' knowledge of the subject matter. Fish bowls also improve communication, active listening, comprehension, and group discussion skills. So next is the simulation games. So sometimes the teacher creates a case study with different scenarios, mirroring the specific topic or a subject matter discussed in the class. So students are then assigned different roles within the case study or asked to play different characters within the scenarios. So the students get uh, copies of the case study before the simulation game. So this way, they fully internalize their rules and have access to data, background information, and the descriptions of the characters they will represent in the game. So the next is game mock court proceedings, mock doctor patient or a consultations, and simulated town hall meeting are common examples of simulation games that happen in the classroom. So the next is the case study. So you can ask your students to um, build up case studies of real life context related to subject matter. For instance, in gender and reproductive health training, students may conduct an in-depth evaluation of maternal mortality rates in their community. So, and present their findings. A lot of work goes into building case studies. So the students have to draft different close-ended and open-ended research questions and collect real-time data from members. Uh, collect time data from members of the research population using different methods including surveys, interviews, and observation. So the next is the proposals. So a proposal is a well-researched document that shows how a student will solve a particular problem. So here, the students needs to outline his or her ideas, tie these ideas to specific goals and objectives and justify the methods to be used for solving the problem. So writing a proposal is important because it allows students to vet their ideas and develop a foolproof solutions. It is a blueprint for the student's final project, and it convinces the instructor to approve the ideas and suggestions for further explorations. So to collect submissions easily from students, you can create a simple online submission from with Form Plus. So this form has a file upload field where students can submit copies of their proposals. It also has several text fields where students can fill in project descriptions and their biodata. So the nine examples, the policy briefs. So a policy brief is a formal, structured, and professional presentation of a proposal. So it is written in the industry jargon of a specialized target audience who already know about the problem and may have even carried out some level of research on the subject matter. So in many cases, the students is asked to present the policy brief during a seminar or other similar academic events. For example, students in applied linguistics can write a policy brief on instrumental phonetics, and students of counseling can present a policy brief on juvenile delinquency. So the last example is the reports. So students may observe a real-life context related to a particular subject matter and submit a report on their observations within a specific period. For example, after volunteering in the local charity event, the students can complete an online report sheet or turn in the reports via Form Plus online submission form. So that are the 10 examples of authentic assessment. So I have here the characteristic of authentic assessments. So first characteristic is resemble real-world tasks and activities or similar to real-world activities. Second can be structured as a written or oral assessment completed individually, in pairs, or in group. So unlike like reports. Third is the often presented as ill-structured problems with no right answer. So the fourth is ask students to communicate their knowledge orally or in writing to a specific audience and for a specific purpose. The last one is the usually ask students to address professional or lay audiences. So that are the characteristic of a authentic assessment. That is, it's similar to a real life activities or real life challenges that we overcome or that we are facing. Advantages and disadvantages of authentic assessment. So we have first the advantages. So first, it encourages the students to actively participate in the evaluation process. So second is authentic assessment provide verifiable evidence of students' knowledge and application of that knowledge. Third, it prepares students to take on a real life challenges. Learners apply to top level of logical and analytical skills to solve different real world problems or real world situations. So fourth is the authentic assessment provide a teacher with a holistic overview of the student's performance in the classroom. Its detailed processes reveal the strengths and weaknesses of the students, and also it shows learning gaps. So the fifth is the it integrates assessment and instruction to create a detailed evaluation process. Authentic assessment build the students' problem-solving skills and enhance one's ability to apply knowledge to real-life context. Verse 7 is more than assessing the student's performance, authentic evaluation focus on accelerating the student's growth. Number 8 is it enhances teacher-student collaboration and creates a positive teaching and learning relationship in the classroom. So that are the advantages. So we proceed to the disadvantages of the authentic assessment. So disadvantages is it is difficult to grade students using authentic assessment methods. So these methods do not have any right or wrong answers. So they depend on how will the students interpret, uniquely address the challenges and the context. So second is authentic assessment is highly subjective and the result can be unreliable. The third is the validity of authentic assessment methods is affected by the absence of a standardized evaluation benchmark. The fourth is it is time consuming and requires a lot of hands on deck. So especially when you have a large class. Fifth is authentic assessments typically require detailed, personalized, and specific feedback, which can take a lot of time. So that are the disadvantages of authentic assessment. It is not easily graded, and also it's a time consuming for students to write because it is a subjective. The distinction of authentic assessment and traditional assessment. So an authentic assessment is designed to resemble complex and real life situations. So teacher can design assessment be that feel realistic in nature to see how students will approach and resolve problems. So while traditional tests have right or wrong answer, authentic assessment have varying solution based on how students come to interpret and solve a challenge. So problem or task. Authentic assessment can be created for any subject matter. In some cases, authentic assessment may be a better alternative to traditional tests. In other cases, it may work best in combination with tests. So some may argue that traditional tests also can provide insight into how students will deal with the real life world situation. However, there are many differences between the two types of assessment that better position authentic assessment to test situations outside of the classroom. So this is the characteristic of traditional assessment. Uh, First is have one correct answer. Seconds do not have a real world constraints. So third, it isolates skills, facts, and specific knowledge. Next is the result in a score. Next is unknown in advance. And the last one is are graded easily. So traditional assessment is it not talk about a real life situation unlike the authentic assessment, and also it is easily graded. So unlike the authentic assessment,